A life uprooted. Daniel Lozano Camargo's story. Daniel Lozano Camargo was building a life in Houston, Texas. He had a job he loved, detailing cars. He was in a committed relationship, helping to raise his girlfriend's young daughter. At 20 years old, he was a young man with dreams and aspirations, but Daniel's life was about to be turned upside down. He was facing deportation to El Salvador, a country he had never known. Daniel's journey to the United States was one shared by many seeking a better life. He left Venezuela as a teenager, fleeing the country's political and economic turmoil. He joined his uncle in Colombia, but the threat of violence followed him. In 2022, at the age of 17, Daniel made the difficult decision to cross the border into the United States. He settled in Houston, quickly finding work as a car detailer. He was known for his strong work ethic and dedication to his craft. Daniel's life was far from easy, but he was determined to build a future for himself in the United States. He applied for asylum, hoping for a chance to live without fear. He had a valid work permit and was doing everything right. Little did he know that his past and the ink on his skin would soon put his future in jeopardy. Daniel's story is one of hope and resilience, but also of fear and uncertainty. It's a story that raises questions about justice, fairness, and the human cost of immigration policies. A promise of protection, the legal settlement. In 2024, a glimmer of hope emerged for Daniel. He was one of many individuals granted a legal settlement by the U.S. government. This settlement was a beacon of light, promising protection from deportation, while his asylum request was under review. It meant that Daniel could continue to build his life in the United States, free from the immediate threat of being sent back to a country he barely knew. This settlement was not a loophole or a free pass. It was a legal agreement, reached after careful consideration and negotiation. It recognized the complexities of immigration cases and the importance of due process. For Daniel, it meant the world. He could breathe a sigh of relief. He could continue working, supporting his girlfriend and her daughter, and pursuing his asylum case with renewed optimism. The settlement represented a promise, a commitment from the U.S. government to uphold the law and protect the rights of individuals like Daniel. It was a sign that the system, despite its flaws, could work. But this promise would soon be broken, shattered by a controversial policy and the resurgence of an old law. The Alien Enemies Act, a controversial weapon. The Alien Enemies Act is a relic of a bygone era, a law passed in 1798 during a time of war and fear. It grants the U.S. government sweeping powers to detain and deport non-citizens deemed alien enemies during times of declared war. The law's broad language and potential for abuse have made it a subject of intense scrutiny and debate throughout its history. Fast forward to 2025 and the Trump administration dusted off this old law, wielding it as a weapon in its ongoing crackdown on immigration. The administration argued that the Alien Enemies Act could be applied to individuals suspected of gang affiliation, even without any formal declaration of war. This interpretation of the law sent shockwaves through the legal community and ignited a firestorm of controversy. Critics argued that the Trump administration was twisting the Alien Enemies Act beyond its intended purpose, using it to justify the deportation of individuals without due process. They pointed out that the law was designed for times of war, not for targeting individuals based on suspicion and without concrete evidence. The use of the Alien Enemies Act in Daniel's case would have far-reaching consequences, setting a dangerous precedent and undermining the very principles of justice and fairness that the United States claims to uphold. Section 4, Deported, a day of shock and despair. March 15, 2025 started like any other day for Daniel. He went to work, detailing cars with his usual precision and care. He called his girlfriend to check in, his voice filled with the warmth and affection they shared. He had no idea that this ordinary day would soon take a dark and unexpected turn. That afternoon, Daniel was detained by immigration officials. The news hit him like a ton of bricks. He was terrified, confused, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen. Despite his legal settlement, despite his pending asylum case, Daniel was informed that he was being deported to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act. His pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears. He was whisked away, separated from everything and everyone he knew. His girlfriend was devastated. Her world turned upside down in an instant. His co-workers were shocked, unable to comprehend how this could happen to someone they knew and cared about. Daniel's deportation was swift and brutal. He was put on a plane, his destination a country he had never known, a place his family had fled from years ago. The promise of protection, the hope he had clung to, was gone. Section 5, marked by ink tattoos and allegations. Central to Daniel's deportation were his tattoos. The Trump administration claimed that his tattoos were evidence of gang affiliation, specifically with the notorious Tren de Aragua gang. This gang, known for its brutality and criminal activities, had become a focal point in the administration's efforts to justify its immigration crackdown. Daniel's tattoos, however, told a different story. They were a reflection of his life, his experiences, his passions. They were not symbols of gang allegiance but expressions of his individuality. The government's assertion that his tattoos were proof of gang membership was a simplistic and dangerous assumption, one that ignored the complexities of individual lives and the rich tapestry of tattoo culture. This focus on tattoos as evidence of gang affiliation raised serious concerns about profiling and discrimination. It painted a target on the backs of individuals who expressed themselves through body art, regardless of their actual involvement in any criminal activity. Daniel's case highlighted the dangers of judging a book by its cover, of making assumptions based on superficial appearances rather than concrete evidence. Section 6, a mother's plea fighting for her son. Daniela Camargo, Daniel's mother, refused to let her son be forgotten. From the moment she learned of his deportation, she became a fierce advocate, a mother lioness fighting for her cub. She knew in her heart that the accusations against her son were false, that he was no gang member, that he deserved a chance to come home. Daniela's pleas for her son's return were filled with a mother's love and anguish. She shared her story with anyone who would listen, her voice cracking with emotion as she described her son's character, his work ethic, his love for his girlfriend and her daughter. She spoke at rallies, gave interviews to the media, and used social media to raise awareness about her son's case. Daniela's fight was not just about her son, it was about challenging a system that seemed determined to break families apart. It was about demanding accountability, transparency, and justice for all immigrants, regardless of their background or circumstances. Her unwavering determination and courage in the face of adversity became a source of inspiration for others fighting for their loved ones caught in the crosshairs of a broken immigration system. Section 7, legal battles and glimmers of hope. Daniel's case was far from over. His lawyers sprang into action, filing a lawsuit challenging his deportation and the Trump administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act. They argued that his deportation violated the terms of his legal settlement and that the government's allegations of gang affiliation were baseless. The legal battle was long and arduous, a test of wills between a determined legal team fighting for justice and a powerful government seemingly intent on making an example of Daniel. The case garnered national attention, shining a spotlight on the plight of immigrants facing deportation and the controversial use of the Alien Enemies Act.